Welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're going to be tackling entrepreneurship and the future of business. And this is all inspired by a recent interview with billionaire Yat Su. He's the co-founder of Animoca Brands, you know, big player in the Web3 space.
Hmm.
He sat down with Simon Squibb on his YouTube channel, and their conversation sparked some thought-provoking ideas for sure, whether you are already running a business or just dreaming up that side hustle. I think you'll find this deep dive surprisingly relevant.
Yeah. What struck me was how Sue challenges us to rethink. All those conventional ideas about business and success. It's not just about chasing profits. It's more about understanding the bigger picture and finding your own unique place in it.
Yeah, and he starts by talking about the purpose of business, but not in the way you might expect. It's not just about, market share or bottom lines, at least not at first. He says you have to begin with your purpose, what kind of impact you want to make on your own life, your community, even the world. Then figure out how your business can be the vehicle for that.
Yeah, it's a really powerful shift in perspective. Instead of focusing just on those external metrics, he encourages us to turn inward and let our personal values guide us
Right.
on that journey.
He uses this great analogy. Imagine being the first Chinese restaurant in a neighborhood
Hmm.
full of people craving Chinese food. You're meeting a need, right? You're early to the game, and you have a built-in advantage.
Right.
He brings up this thing, the diffusion of innovation chart, which basically shows how businesses that enter the market early, like those, first few ice cream trucks on a scorching summer day, have the most potential for growth as demand increases.
That's a great way to visualize it. And it's not just about being in the right place at the right time. Siu emphasizes the importance of manifesting your future.
Hmm.
But he's not just talking about wishful thinking. He actually shares how he manifested selling his previous company,
Right.
Fluid to PwC,
Yeah.
just by visualizing it and
Mhm.
then taking those concrete actions to make it a reality.
That's pretty wild.
I mean,
It highlights how powerful a clear vision can be, especially when it comes to spotting opportunities that others might miss. But then on the flip side, are we all just walking around manifesting million-dollar deals? It makes you wonder how much of it is visualization versus just plain hard work and a bit of luck.
Well, he acknowledges that hard work and strategy are crucial,
Yeah.
but he points to the power of tapping into our innate creativity.
Mm.
Squibb, the interviewer, shares this fascinating study where 98% of 5-year-old children tested as creative geniuses, but only 2% of adults retained that level of problem solving,
Wow.
creative problem solving ability. It's kind of a stark reminder of how our education systems and norms,
Mm.
you know, even our own self-doubt, can stifle that spark of imagination.
It's true. Like, I remember spending hours building elaborate Lego castles as a kid, like lost in my own world somewhere along the way.
Yeah.
That sense of wonder fades for a lot of us. Maybe we need to rediscover that childlike curiosity and apply it to our businesses.
Exactly. And it's not just about entrepreneurial success. It's about living a more fulfilling life overall.
Speaking of challenging conventional thinking, let's dive into C's perspective on money. He throws out the textbook definition and says that money isn't just a store of value, it's a social system, a network that thrives on our belief in its worth.
That's a concept that really challenges our assumptions. He goes on to explain how most money is actually created by banks, private banks through loans and mortgages, which, in his view, leads to a system of social debt and inflation that can just eat away at our savings.
Yeah, it's a bit of a wake-up call. It makes you realize how important it is to understand the mechanics of the financial system. Not about becoming a financial guru overnight, but having that basic grasp of the concepts can empower us to make more informed decisions.
So if money is more about a shared belief than its actual value, how do we build wealth in a system like that? C says that's where the concept of ownership comes in. He argues that true wealth isn't about hoarding money, but rather owning assets, things like property, businesses, or equity in companies. Yeah, he draws a fascinating connection between ownership and power, arguing that throughout history, owning property has been a key driver of both. Makes you think about how that concept plays out in the digital age, especially with platforms like Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, we pour so much time and energy into these platforms, creating content, generating value for them, but we don't actually own any of it. It's definitely thought-provoking. And it leads perfectly into Sue's views on capitalism. Capitalism is one of those words that gets thrown around a lot, and it definitely carries a lot of baggage. I'm curious what Sue's take on it.
Yeah, it's interesting. He doesn't shy away from the critiques of it at all. He acknowledges the flaws, especially how wealth and power can become concentrated in the hands of just a few. But he also argues that capitalism has been a powerful engine for innovation, driving progress and improving living standards for a lot of people.
So it's not about throwing the baby out with the bathwater, but finding a way to make the system work better for everyone?
Exactly. Sue actually encourages listeners to become capitalists themselves, not by exploiting others, but by acquiring ownership and participating in the system in a way that aligns with their values. He advocates for what he calls a property-owning democracy, where wealth and power are more evenly distributed through that widespread ownership of assets.
That sounds like a pretty radical shift from the way things are now. How does he propose we get there?
Well, this is where his enthusiasm for Web3 really shines. He describes Web3 as the Internet of Ownership, where individuals can own their data and digital assets through technologies like blockchain and tokens.
I've heard a lot of buzz about Web3, but I'll admit it still feels a bit like a mystery to me. Can you break it down a little?
Sure. Think of Web3 as the next evolution of the Internet. You know how right now, platforms like Facebook and Google control and profit from our data. In Web3, the idea is that individuals have more control and ownership over their data and creations. Blockchain, which is like a secure and transparent digital ledger, plays a big role in this by enabling us to track and verify the ownership of digital assets.
So instead of big companies holding all the cards, individuals have more power.
Exactly. And Sue believes this shift in ownership has the potential to democratize wealth creation. He even compares it to the early days of the Internet, highlighting the massive opportunities for those who get involved now.
I can see why he's so excited about it. It's like the Wild West of the internet all over again. But how do tokens fit into all of this?
Think of tokens as like digital representations of ownership. They can represent ownership in networks, communities, even physical assets. It's a new way to participate and benefit from the growth of different projects or platforms.
So it's like owning a little piece of the pie.
Exactly. It's still early days. But Susie sees tokens as a powerful tool for driving innovation and creating more equitable systems. Now, all this talk about the future of the Internet and ownership is fascinating, but it can also feel a bit abstract. Sue and Squibb also offer some practical advice for entrepreneurs. They stress the importance of finding your niche, that specific area where you have deep passion and expertise. They argue that in the Internet age, even small niches can become globally connected, creating powerful communities and business opportunities.
So you don't have to try to be everything to everyone.
Not at all. They give some great examples. Apple initially targeted a niche audience of creative professionals, and Instagram started as a platform for sharing images, beautifully curated images. Both started small and then expanded outward as their communities grew.
That's a great reminder that you don't have to start big. Sometimes it's about serving a specific group of people really well and building from there.
Absolutely. And Squibb adds that building a strong community is essential for any business, especially in today's competitive landscape. It's not just about transactions. It's about cultivating those genuine connections with your audience.
So how do you attract the right people to your community and
I-
keep them engaged?
Sia stresses the importance of talent, culture, and incentives. He believes that attracting and retaining talented individuals who align with your mission and vision is crucial. It's not just about offering those competitive salaries. It's about creating a culture where people feel valued and respected and empowered to contribute their best work.
That makes sense. If you want to create something truly special, you need to surround yourself with people who are just as passionate.
Yeah, and he makes this interesting observation about how successful companies offer more than just economic capital. They also provide what he calls symbolic and cultural capital.
What does that even mean?
It's about creating a sense of belonging and status for employees. Think about companies like Google or Apple. Working there is seen as prestigious. It's not just about the paycheck. It's about being part of something innovative and impactful. This ties into the idea of incentives, too. Early-stage startups might not be able to offer high salaries, but they can offer other forms of value, like equity, tokens, or profit sharing.
So it's about aligning everyone's interests and making sure everyone feels like they have a stake in the success.
Right.
Speaking of which, what about funding? That's often one of the biggest hurdles for entrepreneurs. What does Sue have to say about that?
Well, he makes a surprising statement. He says that money is abundant. The real challenge is knowing how to access it.
That's an interesting way to look at it. I guess there's a lot of money out there, but it's not always easy to convince investors to part with it.
Exactly. Sue encourages entrepreneurs to craft compelling narratives around their mission and purpose to attract the right investors. He suggests that instead of focusing solely on venture capital funding, entrepreneurs should explore the world of Web3 and decentralized autonomous organizations, or DAOs, as a revolutionary new source of funding.
Okay, back up a second. What exactly is a DAO?
Imagine a group of people coming together online to pool their money and make decisions collectively, like a digital cooperative. That's the basic idea behind a
And
DAO.
so it's like crowdfunding on steroids.
In a way, yes. CU reveals that DAOs currently manage over $30 billion in assets, governed by over 10 million people. This offers entrepreneurs access to a massive pool of capital that operates outside those traditional venture capital structures.
That's incredible. It sounds like a game changer, especially for entrepreneurs who might not fit the traditional mold or who are working on projects that challenge the status quo. But it also sounds pretty complex. Is this something that's accessible to the average person?
It can seem daunting at first, but there are more and more resources available to help people understand and participate in the DAO space. CU and Squib believe that DAOs have the potential to democratize funding and empower a whole new generation of entrepreneurs.
It's amazing to think about how technology is like reshaping the whole landscape of entrepreneurship
Right.
from,
Okay.
rethinking our relationship with money to exploring new funding models like DAOs. There's a sense that we're on the cusp of something really transformative.
Yeah, it's definitely an exciting time to be paying attention to all these trends. Sue and Squib challenge us to think differently about wealth creation, ownership, even the structure of business. It's like they're handing us a toolkit for shaping the future of the internet and the economy.
And that's what makes this deep dive so compelling. It's not just about, passively absorbing information. It's about empowering you, the listener, to apply these insights to your own life,
Right.
your own work. Maybe you're feeling inspired to finally launch that business you've been dreaming of, or perhaps you're rethinking your approach to your current job or projects.
Yeah, whatever your takeaway is. Sue and Squib leave us with a final thought-provoking question they ask. If you could design a business where everyone who uses your product also owns a piece of it, what would that look like?
That's a powerful question, isn't it? It challenges us to imagine a more equitable and decentralized future where ownership is shared. Everyone has a stake in the success of the ventures they support.
It gets to the heart of what Sue and Squib are advocating for. A future where innovation and prosperity are accessible to everyone, not just a select few.
And that's the essence of a deep dive, right? Exploring new ideas, challenging assumptions, and sparking those aha moments that can lead to real change. Thanks for joining us on this journey. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.